guys? Welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today, we're going to be doing an NFL mock draft. That's right, mock drafts are back from Mock Drafts Monday. This is 5.0, whatever, 5.0 version of my mock draft this season. So if you guys enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button to be notified when I post next. Let's get into this video. I'm very excited. This is now post free agency. It's been about 6 days since free agency started, so all the big time deals have been signed, all the big time trades have happened so far. So I want to do this video. It is obviously March 17th. The video will be coming out March 18th, but I'm recording this on March 17th. So if a big trade or signing happens, that's why it's a little outdated. But I do have some trades in this mock draft, so if you guys do enjoy, let me know. I tried to be as fair as I could in those trades. But let's get into this video. Let me get everything ready. All right. So, number 1 overall, let's start this draft. Obviously, they traded Justin Fields to Chicago Bears. There'll be a video coming out later this week about did the Chicago Bears fail Justin Fields. So I'm not going to get too far into that. Justin Fields is off this team now. I believe it was for a 5th or a 6th round pick. What was it? Was it 225 or 181? It wasn't. Oh, sorry. Was it 122? Or was it a next year pick? It might have been a next year pick. But the Chicago Bears did trade Justin Fields, no longer on the team. So Caleb Williams is most obviously their number 1 overall pick. And same with the Washington Commanders. They traded Sam Howell, making way for Drake May. So that's why I went over those picks very quickly because those are basically set in stone now. It's be basically impossible to trade for those two guys, right? Caleb Williams and Drake May, no matter what you want to put them. Obviously, in my opinion, Caleb Williams is number 1 with Drake May number 2. I think those two are set in stone. Those guys will not be available at number 3. So any team that wants to trade up and get a quarterback has to make moves for Jayden Daniels. And I think that the New England Patriots are in a unique situation to where they can trade back. That's what I'm going to have them do. I'm going to have them trade back. I'm going to have them trading with the Minnesota Vikings. So the Minnesota Vikings recently did a trade for number 23 overall. Was it from the Philadelphia Eagles? Oh, was it the Texans? Because I believe it must have been the Texans. So the Texans trade back to number 23, and the Minnesota Vikings trade up at the number 23. And that's obviously to get more first-round ammo to move up to number 3 or number 4, whatever position you want to say, to move up and get a quarterback. And I think that the New England Patriots have a couple of guys on the board that they like. But I don't think Jayden Daniels really fits their scheme. They have Alex Van Pelt, former offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns, runs a West Coast Gary Kubiak, that type of offense where it's run first, pass off the run game. Jayden Daniels is definitely an air it out kind of guy, and the Minnesota Vikings are an air it out type of offense with Kevin O'Connell. So I think this is a trade that would happen: is 11, 23, and a future 3rd for number 3 overall. We'll throw in 129 as well. I think this is gonna be the basis of the trade that's gonna happen. I think number 11, number 23, a future 3rd, and a this year 3rd. So that's 2 firsts and 2 thirds to move up 8 spots in the draft and grab their franchise quarterback. The New England Patriots slide back to number 11 because they think, wait a minute, instead of taking a quarterback and not picking again in the first round, let's trade back a little bit, go in the range of a different quarterback, and then at number 23, we'll talk about whether it's what guy we want to draft at number 23. This team is well aware that they're not going to win a Super Bowl next year. So accumulate talent, accumulate draft picks. You get a future 3rd next season. You get another 3rd this year. You just add to that draft capital. And the Minnesota Vikings are like, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks in this year's draft. Do we have 9 roster spots? Probably not. We'll try to compete in the NFC North. Let's move on and let's grab Jayden Daniels at quarterback number 3 overall. Jayden Daniels makes a lot of sense for that offense. They're an air-it-out kind of offense that wants to use the run game in complementary with them, but mainly use the arm of their quarterback. We saw that with Kirk Cousins. Kevin O'Connell, we saw it when he was with Matt Stafford. You run the ball when you need to, but you're throwing the ball 60 to 65% of the time in this offense. Jayden Daniels has the arm talent, has the strength to do that. The reason he didn't throw at the combine is that he had nothing to gain. Like, he is the 3rd quarterback in his class, and there's nothing you can really do off that. Why would he try risk losing that position? He can only lose if he would have thrown at the combine. He's saying he's gonna throw at the pro day to help the guys that aren't really 1st, 2nd, 3rd round draft picks try and get their draft stock up. So that's really cool of him. I'm excited to see what Jayden Daniels can do in Minnesota. I think that's the quarterback that they're eyeing to go and get, in my opinion. Then the Arizona Cardinals. I'm obviously grabbing Marvin Harrison Jr., the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class, probably the last 5 or 6 draft classes. pure talent, right? They traded Rondale Moore to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where did he go to the Jaguars? No, the Falcons. They traded him to the Falcons, I believe. To help out Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. So I don't think that they would not go wide receiver. You know what I mean? They lost Marquise Hollywood Brown to the Chiefs. They traded Rondale Moore. I think they're trying to cleanse that wide receiver room to make way for Marvin Harrison Jr. And this not only did this head coach, but this GM did not draft either one of those guys, right? They didn't trade or draft Marquise Brown. They didn't draft Rondale Moore, so they had no attachment to them. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a guy that not only they draft, but they're going to hope succeeds in their system. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, also former Cleveland Brown. He, as we saw last year, likes to use the run game with James Conner, but they also want to use Kyler Murray's legs and arms to create space. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. would be great when the play breaks down. I'm excited what Marvin Harrison Jr. can do in the NFL, especially with Kyler Murray. You guys know how much I love Kyler Murray. Then at number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers. They obviously, they traded Keenan Allen. They cut Mike Williams. They only have Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer on offense. I think that means that Malik Nabers is going to be their pick. Now, don't be shocked, right? Let's say the New England Patriots stay at 3 and take Jaden Daniels or Marvin Harrison Jr. At 4, I don't see... I think they're fine with any 3 of the wide receivers. I think they're fine with Rome Odunze. They're fine with Malik Nabers. They're fine with Marvin Harrison. But I think that they would obviously rather have Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think they would take Malik Nabers over Rome Odunze because Malik Nabers, in my opinion, is a better wide receiver. All 3 of these receivers would all be number 1 receivers in their own draft classes, but when they're all stacked together, that's how I see it, is Marvin, Malik, Rome. And a lot of people have it, separate, whether they have Rome than Malik, or they have Rome over Marvin sometimes even. I think it makes more sense for it. Quentin Johnson and Malik Nabers do. Malik Nabers, that true number 1 receiver. Quentin Johnson, that high upside number 2, but not really yet a wide receiver 1. So Harbaugh gets a wide receiver 1 for Justin Herbert to throw that ball out. Then New York Giants. The Giants were a little interesting for me. Not my favorite draft pick that I've kind of projected. I think they go Brock Bowers. We saw the GM Joe Sheen? Is that his name? Is that Joe Sheen? Joe Sheen and Brian Daboll last season traded for Darren Waller because they want that high impact receiving tight end who still has some upside as a blocker. And it just didn't really work out with Darren Waller. He only had 1 touchdown and 500 yards this past season, and he's already contemplating retirement. He's currently not listed on any big websites on their depth chart. He's still contemplating if he's going to play this season. So you know what? Just make the decision for him. Darren, if you do come back, you're tight end number 2. Brock Bowers is a better receiver, a better blocker, a better inline receiver as well than Darren Waller. Better red zone target. He's the better tight end. So draft Brock Bowers. We know you want him. Their defense could have used some help, yes, but their offensive line, they've made so many signings. I think they're gonna move Evan Neal into left guard. They have John Michael Schmidt, John Runyon, Andrew Thomas. I just think they're gonna move Evan Neal in the guard, and they're gonna have Jermaine Illuminor play that right tackle's position that Evan Neal was playing. I think they're gonna move him inside. You spend a first round pick on him. You definitely want to try and keep him. So I think you're gonna move him inside. You have your 5-man offensive line ready. Wide receivers are okay, I guess. But Brock Bowers, obviously Rome Odunze is an interesting pick, but I think Brock Bowers will offer more to you as a receiver and as a blocker as well to help the offensive line develop. Because you got to keep Daniel Jones or whatever quarterback wins that battle. You got to keep him upright. The Tennessee Titans, I'm not going to go Joe Alt. I'm going to go Olu Fashanu. It's Olu Fashanu. Apparently it's Olu Fashanu. I apologize. I think Olu is the better tackle of them both. Maybe not immediately, but in the long run, I like Olu's projection. I think he's a better pass blocker day 1. Run blocking, maybe Joe Alt currently has a little bit on him, but as a pass blocker, no one touches Olu Fashanu. And having basically a new offense now, whether it's with obviously with Brian and Bill Callahan as his offensive line coach. Brian Callahan, we saw him as the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. He likes to use that run game, but he's primarily a passing coordinator. So why not just get the best pass protector in the draft at tackle, and now you show up left tackle for your entire career, right? Then the Atlanta Falcons. That's where I think Rome Odunze goes. You have Drake London. You traded for Rondale Moore. You have Darnell Mooney. None of them are as good as Rome Odunze, right? I think Drake London is the only one that has a competition on him. As someone who's not a big Drake London fan when he was first coming out, I'm very much against the mold of the big body 50-50 ball receiver, and that's all he does. I was worried that Drake London could just fall into that mold. He's been way better. But I think Rome Odunze's a true wide receiver number 1. Like, I think he's a true elusive. He has the footwork, has the routes, has the hands, has the speed. He has everything needed to be a true wide receiver number 1. Drake London takes that wide receiver 2 number role. And then you have Rondale Moore and Darnell Mooney fight it out for wide receiver 3, and whoever's, the complimentary wide receiver. You have them fight it out, right? I think Rome Odunze comes in, immediately helps out Kirk Cousins, give him that true number 1 deep ball threat that Atlanta is currently lacking on the roster. Then the Chicago Bears at number 9. I don't know. They're a little tough, right? Obviously, you draft Caleb Williams. What do? Do you go wide receiver? Do you reach maybe for an Adonai Mitchell, a Brian Thomas to, I think they don't. I think they're fine with their offense for this first round at least. You need to help this defense out a little bit. So I am going to go Dallas Turner at number 9. Is it a little high for him? Maybe. Byron Murphy is definitely in contention for the number 1 defender off the board. I'm still a big fan of Jazon Newton. Any of the corners, Jared Verse. There's a lot of guys in contention for that first defender off the board, but I'm going to go Dallas Turner. They need more help on the defensive line. They obviously have Gervon Dexter. They signed, who did they sign at D tackle? Was it, no, it wasn't, no. Oh my gosh, it's gonna kill me. They have Montez Sweat, obviously they have Montez Sweat. Who they have, I try to have this ready, right? But Chicago, I'm trying to remember why I went defensive line. Depth chart, there we go. Right, they have Andrew Billings. Sorry, that's what I'm thinking. They have Andrew Billings and Gervon Dexter at D tackle. You also have Montez Sweat. But at the other edge position in a 4-3 defense, you have DeMarcus Walker and Dominique Robinson. Not the best immediate impact starters. I think they're better in rotation, both of them. So Dallas Turner comes in, becomes that day 1 starter in opposite of Montez Sweat. You then have DeMarcus Walker, Dominique Robinson, and Khalid Kareem, which I was a big fan of Khalid Kareem coming out when he came to Indianapolis. You have those guys as those rotational pass rushers, but Dallas Turner comes in, becomes that pure number 1 pass rusher next to Montez Sweat. Makes too much sense in my opinion. You solved your offensive issue with Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen, right? You got your wide receiver 2 and your quarterback number 1. You signed DeAndre Swift. You have Roschon Johnson. You got your offensive line together. Now, get your defense finished off in the draft. Let's go at it, right? Number 10, with the New York Jets. This is what really interesting. Obviously, they signed Tyron Smith. So do you still go tackle? I do still go tackle, especially with the value of Joe Alt at number 10. This is a franchise left tackle. Said and done, right? Maybe he doesn't start year 1 because of how good Tyron Smith is. Maybe you move him to right tackle for a year while Tyron Smith, holds it out for 1 year. But for me, I don't see you not taking a tackle at number 10. Now, you could have gone to Talisi Fuaga and played him at right tackle, but why not have Joe Alt, right? Why not have Joe Alt learn from a Hall of Fame left tackle, right? A Hall of Famer. Why would I not want him learning from a Hall of Famer? Like, I'm going to draft Joe Alt. If he doesn't, if Morgan Moses beats him out at right tackle, whatever. Joe, sit for 1 year, learn from a Hall of Fame left tackle and a, 12, 13-year veteran right tackle, and it's learn, get your body ready, and next year, be the best left tackle that we could have possibly taken in this draft. It makes a lot of sense for me. I think it makes a lot of sense for what they could do with a Joe Alt. Then at number 11, the New England Patriots, honestly, with the trade back, they could have grabbed Jaden Daniels. I think they do trade back, and they take a quarterback that actually fits their system in JJ McCarthy. So, I want to make sure I say this. I think JJ McCarthy is the only other quarterback that goes in the first round. So, no other quarterbacks are going in the first round in my mock, right? Bo Nix is not. Michael Penix is not. Spencer Rattler, hell no. Like, these guys are not going in my first round. I see them as day 2 and day 3 prospects. Or sorry, round 2 and round 3 prospects. JJ has an edge in all of them. Not only is he the most accurate quarterback in this class, but when it comes to timed throws, he's a top 3. It's Caleb, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. I'm a huge fan of JJ McCarthy. I think he fits a lot of things that the Patriots want to do. AVP, again, West Coast, Gary Kubiak, that type of offense where it's time throws. You play in a system. You're not the system. You play in the system, and the system works. I think JJ McCarthy is a perfect scheme fit. He's amazing when it comes to time throws. He won a national championship throwing off of the run game at Michigan. And again, if you don't know if you don't think he has an arm, watch the Michigan versus Ohio State game. That game, JJ McCarthy made a lot of really impressive, accurate throws. I think it makes too much sense. You trade back, get an extra first-round pick, 2 extra thirds, and you still take a guy who I think is a better scheme fit than Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is a better player, but JJ McCarthy is a better scheme fit for what you want to do for your team. Then at number 12, I believe this could be where we start seeing a run on some defenders. At cornerback for the Denver Broncos, I'm going to go grab Quinyon Mitchell. He's currently my cornerback number 1. While I like Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I still think could be the cornerback first off the board, Kamari Lassiter, Terrion Arnold, like, I like all of them, right? But I think Quinyon Mitchell is the better of all of them, especially when it comes to upside. He's a true cornerback number 1, playing opposite of PS2. No fly zone. Like, that cornerback room is not being thrown against. I think it's a great scheme fit. I think it's exactly what they want. A big, tough defender. And again, from Toledo is impressive. You know, an FBS school coming in and producing a guy like Quinyon Mitchell. The Las Vegas Raiders continue the defensive run, grabbing Byron Murphy. Obviously, they signed Christian Wilkins. They have Max Crosby. Why not finish off that amazing front four by having Byron Murphy? Why not? You drafted Tyree Wilson last year, who hasn't really worked out yet. But again, maybe a new scheme, right? Maybe, you have a different defensive coordinator now. Maybe Tyree Wilson, you give him some run as a starter. Byron Murphy can come in, start opposite of Christian Wilkins. That's an amazing front four you have right there. Makes too much sense in my opinion. Then the New Orleans Saints at number 14. This is where I think we could see Brian Thomas Jr. going. You have Chris Olave. You let Michael Thomas walk in free agency. I think Brian Thomas Jr. comes in. Him and Chris Olave are one of the best young guys, and both guys in their rookie contract wide receiver duos. Brian Thomas Jr., amazing deep threat, still has amazing routes, but it hasn't really been asked to run the routes. What's it called? Consistently. They kind of just ask him, hey, run a go route, and he runs the best go route in football. Isn't he like 6'2"? He's 6'4", 205, and what was his? 17.3 yards per reception. So he's a great deep threat, has really good hands, still has a route running ability as well. I think the Saints need another wide receiver opposite of Chris Olave. They've kind of been running a sham show at wide receiver 2 and 3. So why not get a solidified wide receiver 2 next to Chris Olave? Chris, the possession receiver, Brian, the deep threat. Makes so much sense. The Indianapolis Colts, they're interesting. I think there's a lot of things they can go. Obviously, you guys know I've been doing a lot of Brock Bowers to the Indianapolis Colts. But for me, I think they grabbed Nate Wiggins from Clemson. I think it's a better scheme fit. Then, honestly, I like Cooper DeJean. I think Nate Wiggins is the better scheme fit and a better player for them, though. Whether it comes down to press man ability, his zone ability, his straight line speed, his fluidity in his hips and his footwork, I think Nate Wiggins is the better scheme fit for the Colts. I think it has, when you say Nate Wiggins, I just imagine him in a Colts uniform. He just seems like a Colts player. It's so weird. When he was running when he was at the combine, I was like watching him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's an Indianapolis Colt. Like I'm in my brain, like I can already see Wiggins on his jersey for the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm calling that from right now on March 17th. I'm gonna snipe shot him. Boom. Nate Wiggins is a Colt in the first round. I'll put $5 on it right now. Like I don't know what it is. I think they have a need at cornerback number 1. They honestly re-signed Kenny Moore to be their slot corner. And you have Juju Brent at cornerback number 2. I think Nate Wiggins comes in as cornerback number 1 immediately. Then the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to Cooper DeJean. So let me explain why. You have Devon Witherspoon as that rover in a Mike McDaniel system, that Kyle Hamilton role. You have Devon Witherspoon. When you have him lined up in that rover role, you kind of let go of those outside responsibilities and that safety responsibility. Cooper DeJean, amazing outside corner, and everyone keeps saying you could scheme him in as a strong free safety. Why not just go to a system that's going to utilize him as a safety, a corner, and maybe even a rover himself? Because I forgot, isn't he 6'1"? So not as big as Devon Witherspoon or Kyle Hamilton, but 6'1", 207 is a really good blitzer. Whether it's Devon Witherspoon or Cooper DeJean, you have them both overhanging above the edge rushers. You don't know which one is coming at you. That is a great scheme fit for them. I think Cooper DeJean would thrive in Seattle. You have Devon Witherspoon. You have Tariq Woolen. You have Cooper DeJean. Amazing 3-man corner group. You honestly still have Rashawn Jenkins and Julian Love, not including as well Kobe Bryant somewhere in the DB room. that is an amazing back seven. Or I guess back four, back five, whatever. Because they usually run a 5-2-4 in Baltimore is what they ran. So I think Cooper DeJean to the Seattle Seahawks makes a lot of sense as well when it comes to scheme fit. Then the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they still need another corner. They let Darius Williams walk as I thought they would. I'm going to grab Kool-Aid McKinstry. Great press man corner. Has some upside when it comes to zone ability as well. I still think Kool-Aid McKinstry is, when it comes down to press man coverage, him and Quinion Mitchell are debatable who's number one. So for me, it's a great steal at 17. I think he could still end up being one of the best corners in this class. He goes as what, cornerback number 4 or 5? 5. So yeah, I didn't even get to explain this. This is in my next part of the notes. So in the NFL draft, you'll always see 2 runs. There are 2 runs at positions, usually in the mid to late teens and in the late 20s. You guys are going to see that happen. That's all I'm going to say. So the first run is going to be at corner. Within 6 picks, the top 4 corners are off the board. Once Quinion Mitchell goes, everyone's going to think the Raiders are going to take a corner. They don't. But then the Colts go, okay, let's take our corner while we need to. Boom, Nate Wiggins. Then the Seahawks are going to go, oh crap, let's grab our corner, Cooper DeJean. And the Jaguars are going to go, let's grab our corner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. And I think that's where the run happens. 4 corners inside of 6 picks makes a lot of sense for all the teams. Obviously, I think the Raiders could maybe grab a corner. They did let Amik Robinson walk and go to the Detroit Lions, but I think they're fine for the first round, right? So that's my first run of a position group. It happens every NFL draft. Look at the last 5 NFL drafts, whether it's wide receiver, tackle, corner, not really safeties, offensive line in general, like running backs. There's always a run in the mid to late teens and the late 20s. So that's my first run, is going to be the cornerbacks. So to end that run, I think the Cincinnati Bengals go Johnny Newton from Illinois. He's still one of my favorite interior defensive linemen. Obviously, within the top 20 picks, is still one of my favorites. They currently have, they let DJ Reader walk. They have, who they signed from the Texans? He's Sheldon Rankins. They signed Sheldon Rankins to a 2-year deal. You still have BJ Hill as your opposite D tackle. John Newton comes in, I think starts day 1 at D tackle. Yeah, Sam Hubbard. You have Trey Hendrickson. You have Miles Murphy from Clemson as well last year. You have a really good front 4, right? Let's build that up one more time. Finish that front 4 off. Have a bunch of guys on their rookie contracts, so you don't have to keep paying this front 4 for the next 4 or 5 years. Get a bunch of guys that have a lot of high upside and let them start, right? Just let them play. See what you got in your front 4 of your defensive line. You keep drafting guys and not letting them play. I think John Newton is better than BJ Hill day 1. The Rams are another interesting team. Talisi Fuaga's fallen a little bit. I just think that there's other positions that other teams would go for first. So Talisi Fuaga does end up with the LA Rams. I think that's a great scheme fit for the Rams. Not only is Talisi Fuaga probably the best pure run blocker, he still has a lot of upside as a pass blocker. 19, he slipped probably 8, 9, 10 picks past what I would be saying. The fact that Joe Alt fell, I think that's the Jets were the last team that would have drafted a tackle over everything else. So Joe Alt fell, the Jets take him. No one else in between needed a right tackle more than they needed the position I drafted. So Talisi Fuaga does fall, but due to that fall, ends up on a team that is ready to win right now, right? You have Rob Havenstein and Alaric Jackson at tackles. I think you move Rob Havenstein back over to left tackle, had Talisi Fuaga start at right tackle. Maybe he sits for a year and you let Rob Havenstein's contract go out. Whatever you want to do. Have one of the best pure right tackles in the class on the roster. And it, to me, makes a lot of sense. Talisi can come in, learn from a really good player, develop as a pass blocker behind Rob Havenstein, or start immediately and help this run game get even better. Last season, Kyren Williams went off, and I think they can make a lot of sense relying on the run game to help win games, especially now that Aaron Donald is no longer on the team due to retiring. The Pittsburgh Steelers are an interesting team. Obviously, they signed Russ, they traded for Justin Fields, so not a quarterback. Wide receiver, they trade Deontay Johnson, so maybe wide receiver. But there's so many good wide receivers in this year's class. I would rather wait till the second round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go offensive line. I'm going to go Troy Fontenot. So I'm going Troy Fontenot because he can play everywhere, right? He's probably going to be moved inside of the offensive line. Yeah, Broderick Jones at left tackle. Dan Moore at right tackle. Nate Daniels, is that his name? Oh, that might not be his name. It's James Daniels. James Daniels. You have James Daniels at left guard and nothing at center or right guard. Like, you don't have anything that you trust that you could start tomorrow. So Troy Fontenot comes in and you just put the best 5 guys out there that you can. You have this tackle solidified. You have James Daniels solidified. Center and right guard, whatever one Troy Fontenot plays better at, that's what he plays at, and everyone else can fight for that starting position, whether it's center or right guard. Troy Fontenot comes in, starts immediately for the Steelers, inside the offensive line, not at tackle. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Steelers. Just get the best 5 guys you can and build an offensive line however you can. The Dolphins are interesting as well. I think they're only going to do this because, so when the Dolphins offseason first started, and I did the offseason plan video, there were 2 directions that they could have gone. They either sign Christian Wilkins and lose their offensive lineman, and that was Robert Hunt and Connor Williams, or you keep Connor Williams and Robert Hunt and you lose Christian Wilkins. They lost all 3 of them. They didn't prioritize any of them. They just let them all walk. So for me, the Miami Dolphins, I'm going to grab Jackson Powers-Johnson, the best center in this class. We saw what drafting a really good center did for the Baltimore Ravens in Tyler Linderbaum. I think it's an exact replica of what they were hoping they could do. Really good run blocker, really good pass blocker. Is a scheme fit. He's a really good on when it comes to outside zone, outside handoffs, and that's what the Dolphins love to do. They love going on the outside. They're not really a big interior inside zone handoff kind of team. They're an outside handoff team, and that's exactly what Jackson Powers-Johnson does. He's a great pulling center. He's great when it comes to downhill blocking. Great pass blocker as well. I think it's not only a steal for you, you also prevent the team after you from drafting him in the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's kind of a chess piece move of, we're going to get better, and we're going to make sure that this team that is also competing for a Super Bowl doesn't get better in the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles honestly don't get Jackson Powers-Johnson. I think they're really upset about that. But they're going to pivot to their number 2 option in Peyton Wilson, my linebacker number 1. Adrian Cooper is very close at linebacker number 2. Trust me. Adrian Cooper and Peyton Wilson, they're both battling for me in my mind who's linebacker number 1. But I am giving the edge to Peyton Wilson right now. I think he's a better athlete. Obviously, you had Nakobe Dean as well, but you haven't really solidified that linebacker position. I know you did sign someone. They signed someone in free agency. I'm blanking on who they signed. Devin White and Oren Burks, who I'm a very big fan of, and Zach Bond. Well, they've actually put a lot of money into in free agency in the linebacker core. But I think that Peyton Wilson is a day 1 impact player. Nakobe Dean hasn't really worked out yet. He's been okay. He's been sitting behind a bunch of guys. But the fact that you keep signing, you keep trading, you keep wavering, all these linebackers, doesn't give me a lot of faith that you believe in Nakobe Dean anymore. Maybe he hasn't developed how you were hoping he would. So grab Peyton Wilson to be that true linebacker number 1 and have everyone else work around Peyton Wilson. So, number 23, Patriots traded back with the Minnesota Vikings, got pick number 23. I'm going to do something that you guys aren't going to like. You grab JJ McCarthy. I'm trading this pick to a certain team that has a wide receiver on a franchise tag that wants to be paid. I'm calling up the Cincinnati Bengals. I want T. Higgins. I think this trade makes too much sense. I'm going to throw in a 5th round pick. I think it makes a lot of sense. T in a 5th for a 1st rounder. Offer trade. I think T. Higgins to the New England Patriots is inevitable. If I'm the New England Patriots, this is exactly how I'd want the board to fall. Exactly how I'd want it to fall. We not only traded back, got a future 3rd and a 3rd this year, and a 1st round pick this year. We traded back, got a quarterback that fit our scheme, who has a lot of upside. You go to number 23. At 18, the Bengals don't go wide receiver. You trade T. Higgins, and this is where the Bengals replace their wide receiver. They grab Adonai Mitchell. So first for the Patriots, T. Higgins, number 1 wide receiver on every NFL team except for the Bengals, who have Jamar Chase, and maybe the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. Besides that, wide receiver 1 everywhere. Great route runner, great hands. Has been buried and had injuries the last year or 2. That's really, hindered his stock. The Bengals move off of him because of money reasons. And they apparently just didn't want, they wanted to play him on a franchise tag and didn't want to pay him. So he requests a trade. He gets to go to a team that he can get paid a lot of money and be a wide receiver 1. They then pivot to Adonai Mitchell. AD Mitchell out of Texas. Great route runner, great hands, even better speed than T. Higgins in my opinion. Very fluid in his release. Xavier Worthy's interesting, obviously as a pure deep threat, but Adonai is a great route runner, great receiver with the hands. Doesn't get bodied by cornerbacks as often as you would think. and has championship experience. He won back-to-back national championships in Georgia, went to Texas to become, have a true role as a wide receiver. Played really well this past year. Adonai Mitchell to the Cincinnati Bengals to replace T. Higgins makes a lot of sense. He's for 5 years now. You're gonna have Jamar Chase, Adonai Mitchell, and Joe Burrow. See what happens. Then the Dallas Cowboys, they honestly have made no moves in free agency. I'm gonna grab Graham Barton. So the reason I don't grab J.C. Latham or Amarius Mims, the Dallas Cowboys have Terrence Steele and Tyler Smith. They've invested not only money, but big draft capital in those two guys. They're starting at left and right tackle. What they don't have is a left guard or a center. They have Zach Martin at right guard, their future Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. All Pro Bowl Zach Martin at right guard. You lose Tyron Smith. You don't re-sign him, makes sense. Left guard and center are wide open. You let Tyler Biadasz walk to the Commanders, and left guard was Tyler Smith, and Tyron Smith was left tackle. Now left guard and center are available. Graham Barton schemes in as a center or left guard. He is not a tackle in the NFL. He's not. He doesn't have the size, the speed, the first step to beat defenders. He doesn't have that. But he has the power and the maneuverability to be an inside guy. Graham Barton, just like Tyler Smith will move the left guard and play at left guard or center, whichever one. But invest in your offensive line. Keep Dak healthy. Make this run game better. Do that by investing. So Dallas Cowboys grab Graham Barton. He moves inside to left guard or center. The Green Bay Packers, I think this could be another run. So that's what I'm going to give you guys a heads up. Here's the run of offensive linemen. Graham Barton is the first at the Cowboys. Then the Green Bay Packers, they go, okay, here it comes. Let's grab our right tackle of the future, J.C. Latham. They have Zach Tom currently at right tackle. But I believe his contract is up after this upcoming season, and I don't see them re-signing Zach Tom. So J.C. Latham comes in. He can either start day one or you let him sit. But I'm fine with either option. J.C. Latham becomes a right tackle, the protector of Jordan Love, the future of the offensive line at that position. And again, makes sense. Maybe you move Zach Tom to left tackle, but Rasheed Walker's been holding it down just fine for a 7th round pick. Interior is pretty much set. You honestly lost John Runyon, so maybe you move Zach Tom into guard to replace John Runyon. You have Elton Jenkins. J.C. Latham, I think, just starts day one at right tackle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna go Amarius Mims. So Tristan Wirfs was their right tackle, was an All-Pro Pro Bowler his first 2 years, moves to left tackle, and is still a Pro Bowler. He's an amazing tackle. The issue is you don't have any other offensive linemen. Everyone has retired and left. So grab Amarius Mims to be a franchise right tackle. Makes too much sense in my opinion. You need a high upside player. Amarius Mims has dealt with injury at Georgia, but when healthy, is an elite player. I think he'd be one of the best tackles in this class, if not for injury. You get Amarius Mims. He starts day one at right tackle. Boom. You have Tristan Wirfs, Amarius Mims. You figure the rest out interior offensive line. But now you protect Baker Mayfield, who you just invested 3 years, $100 million into. The Arizona Cardinals also do the exact same thing. Exact same reason as well. They grab Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. So as you see, 4 tackles in a row, and I had 3 cornerbacks, 4 out of 6. That's the end of my run of offensive linemen. Tyler Guyton to the Arizona Cardinals. They cut who they cut? Oh, they cut DJ Humphries. They re-signed Kelvin Beachum for very cheap. You have Paris Johnson. You signed Jonah Williams to a 1-year deal to maybe play at left tackle. But this is more of an interior offensive line move. So Tyler Guyton is also not probably going to play tackle. He's very raw, right? He's a very raw player. As you can see, he's a former defensive end. So he has the knowledge of how to play defensive end. He has the athleticism. But at 6'7", eventually moved the offensive line in college, is still learning the position really. So Tyler Guyton can play anywhere on the offensive line, whether it's at left tackle and he beats out Jonah Williams, and Jonah Williams moves back in the guard, like how the Bengals were playing him. Same thing as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You draft Tyler Guyton, you have Jonah Williams. Whoever wins that position battle is left tackle. Whoever doesn't win that position battle is left guard. Like, that's what you gotta do. Just draft guys and make an offensive line to protect Kyler Murray. You don't necessarily need a starting left tackle, but whether it's him or Jonah Williams, whoever wins is your left tackle. Whoever loses is your left guard. done. Then you have Paris Johnson at right tackle. Let him hold down the fort, right? Let him hold down the fort. No worries at all. That's what I'd do if I was the Arizona Cardinals. Same as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Same as the Dallas Cowboys. Draft guys. See who wins the battle. The Buffalo Bills, yes, they need secondary help, but I think Jared Verse is too high of a prospect to not take. Honestly, I probably should have drafted him earlier, but Jared Verse at number 28. Von Miller obviously has been in decline the last year or two. You have what's his name? They also have Gregory Rousseau, but didn't they lose AJ Epinesa? I believe they lost AJ Epinesa, if I'm not mistaken. So let me make sure before I get it wrong. They have Gregory Rousseau, obviously. So they did re-sign AJ Epinesa. That's good. They re-signed DaQuan Jones. You have Ed Oliver. But besides that, you have Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, and Von Miller. The only pass rushers that are of quality on this team. Grab Jared Verse. Have him potentially be that pass rusher number 3. I'm not going to say he's a start, but be a high impact role player who it should start, right? Like, he has the talent to start, but help his pass rush group. It's a very thin pass rushing room. Von Miller is one day away from retiring. Prepare for the worst. Grab Jared Verse. Get ready for that pass rushing group. You need to get to the quarterback. Especially now that your secondary is not as good as it was the last couple of years. Invest in the front 7 and get after the quarterback with Jared Verse. The Cincinnati Bengals. The Detroit Lions are the team that's up next. I'm gonna go a little risky in this draft pick. I'm grabbing Braden Fisk. I think Braden is a first round pick in my opinion. He has the talent to be. They obviously signed DJ Reader. You have Ali McNeil. You signed Marcus Davenport. You have Aiden Hutchinson. I think Braden Fisk is a great scheme fit. Great great pass rusher, great run stopper. I think he has the role on the team. I say it might not be the best because you signed DJ Reader, right? You signed DJ Reader, but he's the future, right? DJ Reader can be cut this upcoming season, right? So you signed him to a 2-year, $26 million deal. You only guaranteed $15 million of it. That's like a 1-year deal to me. It sounds like it's a 1 year for 15. You signed to a 2-year deal to spread the money out. So Braden Fisk comes in, doesn't start immediately, learns from DJ Reader, one of the best run defenders of the last 5-6 years in the NFL, because run defending really is his best part of his game, Braden Fisk. He needs to get better at pass rushing, but if you can get Braden Fisk for the future of the defensive line with Ali McNeil, your run defending will never be an issue. You sign Marcus Davenport to hopefully be that pass rusher, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. So I'm not going to go Leia Latu. I'm not going to go Chop Robinson. Why can I not click Edge? Why am I dumb? I could grab Chris Braswell, Darius Robinson, Adisa Isaac. I don't think you grab him in the first round. I think you grab Braden Fisk to solidify the future of the defensive tackle room. Because last year, you signed Tyson Alualu off the street. The 38, 39-year-old D tackle. You signed him off the street because of how bad a D tackle room was playing outside of Ali McNeil. So I think Ali McNeil, Braden Fisk, the future of that position. The Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to do it. I think Troy Franklin goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, I said Zay Flowers might be my wide receiver 1, and I had the Ravens drafting him, knowing that he could have that best upside of any wide receiver in that class. I'm doing the same with Troy Franklin. I think he's my guy in the first round. I love Tez Walker too, but he's not a first rounder anymore. He's struggled really bad in the offseason so far. It did not test well at the combine. Didn't test well at the bowl game he went to. It's been rough for Tez Walker, but Troy Franklin has been the exact player I thought he was going to be. So I'm going to grab the Ravens drafting him. You lose Odell Beckham Jr. Who was a wide receiver they drafted? Wow. What is his name? Not Zay Flowers, the other one they drafted recently. You see what I mean? That's why I wish I had everything on my computer. But you can't plan for everything. Baltimore. Depth chart. Wide receiver. Rashad Bateman. Thank you. Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers are the only wide receivers they have of name. Nelson Aguilar as well. But besides that, here's their wide receiver room, by the way. Sean Ryan, Tylan Wallace, Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers. They're either going to sign a wide receiver in the next couple of days to at least get 6 wide receivers on roster, or wide receiver no matter what is their draft pick in the first round of the draft. And Troy Franklin, great route runner, great wide receiver number 2 in my opinion. They probably move Rashad Bateman inside the slot, but Troy Franklin can play slot. He's probably one of the best deep threats from the slot and outside position. This makes so much sense for the Baltimore Ravens. Double down on the wide receivers for Lamar Jackson. He's getting older. He's obviously not the same 21-year-old you drafted in 2018. It's been 6 years. He's closer to 30 than he is to 20. Let's just prepare for the moment that we need to lean more on his arm than his legs just because of his age. So Troy Franklin is gonna be another guy we solidify at in the movement of, yes, we have the run game and Lamar does run the ball, but we also have a strong passing game. Troy Franklin is the exact kind of guy that can fit that mold. Then the San Francisco 49ers, it's a bit of a shocker. So honestly, they need secondary help, right? But Jair Brown and Talisi Hufanga, I forgot his first name, Hufanga, their safeties, played fine last year. Their corners, Javarius Ward, Diamondor Lenore, Ambry Thomas, played fine last year. Their linebacker core played fine last year. And they brought Devondre Campbell in. The defensive line played well last year. And then they brought in a bunch of guys to replace the guys that they lost. The one thing they have not improved is their offensive line. So I'm going to go Zach Frazier. I like Cedric Van Pran as my center number 2. But Zach Frazier, I cannot lie, has impressed me more in the offseason. So Zach Frazier is my center number 2. Maybe not a first-round draft pick, but because of the need, becomes a first-round draft pick by the 49ers. Starts day 1. Really good in the run game. Has a lot of upside in the pass game as well. I like Zach Frazier. Maybe you could get Cedric Van Pran in the second round, and that'd be better value. But Cedric Van Pran, I'm going to stick with. Then at number 32, you guys are going to be shocked. I do not have a L'Jarius Sneed trade happening in this draft, obviously. So I think L'Jarius Sneed is going to stay for at least 1 year. But let's prepare for the future, shall we? Let's go Terrion Arnold. Really good man corner, really good zone corner. A lot of people's cornerback number 1 or 2. For me, he is a little bit lower. And just I did have him fall. I just could not have him in the first round. But yeah, that's my mock draft. Obviously, L'Jarius Sneed's replacement is Terrion Arnold. Then it'll be Terrion Arnold and wow. I'm blanking on people's names, man. I'm blanking on their names. I don't know why I struggle. The minute I click record, I can't remember people's... Trent McDuffie, right? Trent McDuffie, yep. So Trent McDuffie and Terrion Arnold are the future at the cornerback position for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to trade L'Jarius Sneed either this year or you're going to let him walk next year. So why not draft the corner at number 32 that's going to replace him eventually. But yeah, that is my mock draft. I think it's a really good mock draft. We got a couple of trades, both involving the New England Patriots. There could be more as well. But the Vikings, honestly, the big key points I'm going to go over. The Vikings trade from number 11 to number 3. Grab Jaden Daniels. Brock Bowers goes at 6 to the Giants. Olu's the first tackle taken. Dallas Turner, the first defensive player taken. JJ McCarthy at number 11 to the Patriots post-trade. Quinion Mitchell, the first corner taken. Cooper DeJean goes to the Seahawks. Talisa Fuaga goes to the Rams at 19. A little bit late. Adonai Mitchell goes to the Bengals. After the New England Patriots trade back to number 23, they trade again and grab T. Higgins. So then they replace T. Higgins with Adonai Mitchell. Plays a different role than T. Higgins, but are very similar in a lot of ways as well. The Cowboys grab Graham Barton to either be their left guard or their center. Both the Buccaneers and the Cardinals take Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton, and then they let the rest of their offensive line figure out what we're going to do. Just grab the best guys you can, and just get the best 5 guys out there. Stay with the Steelers. They grab Troy Fontenot to either play guard or center. The Lions, they grab Braden Fisk for the future. The Ravens grab Troy Franklin to replace what Odell wasn't doing for them. The 49ers grab Zach Frazier, and the Cardinals grab Terrion Arnold. Either this year or next year would replace L'Jarius Sneed. But if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell to notify when I post next. I think it's a really great mock draft, Not a lot of trades, but the trades that did happen, I think made a lot of sense. Obviously, T. Higgins will not play for the Bengals next year, and I don't think that the Vikings trading for number 23 means that they're not going to trade up to number 3 overall. You have number 11, you have number 23. You throw in a few, third-round picks. You get to number 3. I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, if you guys think anything is weird, if you would have done anything different, if you think guys should not be in the first round, if you think guys should be in the first round that I didn't draft. I mean, what guys didn't go? Liatu Latu didn't go in the first round. Mike Sandstrom didn't go in the first round. Almost all the wide receivers didn't go in the first round. But I think this makes a lot of sense. A lot of guys went where I think it makes a lot of sense for them. But yeah, if you guys want to see more, let me know. I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.